Hey students, this video is going to go over the rules for calculating with multiplication and division using sig figs. So the rules are going to be a little bit different than they are with adding and subtracting. So it's going to be really important for you to look at what kind of calculation you're performing so you can use the correct rules for rounding according to sig figs. So with multiplying and dividing, you're going to be looking at the total number of sig figs in each of the numbers going into your calculation. And whichever number has the fewest total sig figs, that's how many sig figs your answer has to have. So let's take a look first at this multiplication. Let's say we have 19.2 times 0.035. So when you do that and plug that into your calculator, you're going to end up with 0.672. So you want to make sure you're recording your answer to the appropriate number of sig figs. So let's look at the numbers that went into that calculation. This one has 3 sig figs. This number has 2 sig figs. So whichever one has the fewest number of sig figs, that's what you must round your answer to. So we'll have to round this answer to 2 sig figs, which is that position there. We use the number behind it to tell us what to do. So we would record our answer as 0.67. It's going to be the same for dividing. So let's say that we have 0.3970 divided by 0.0050. When we plug this one into the calculator, we're going to end up getting 79.4. We want to see how many sig figs to round that to. So this number here has 4 sig figs. This number here only has 2 sig figs. So we're going to round our answer to 2 sig figs, and we would record our answer as 79. I'm going to go over a couple of more examples. This next one is a little bit different. So we have 1090 times 1098.455. Let's go ahead and do that calculation in our calculator first. And we'll see that we'll end up with this number here. All right, so let's look at the numbers that went into that calculation. This one had 3 sig figs. This one had 4, 5, 6, 7 sig figs. So we always round to whichever one has the fewest number of sig figs. So we want to round to 3 sig figs. That's this position right here. We use the number behind it to cause it to round up. And the 9, because it's rounding up, would cause this to round up. So that means it would come out to 1,200,000. Remember, we change the rest of those to zeros so that we can maintain the value of the number. Now here's the problem with this one. This number has how many sig figs? It only has 2 sig figs. So if you get to this position where you need to have the correct number of sig figs and the number doesn't, put it into scientific notation. So you want to put the decimal point, imagine the decimal point back here, put it behind the first non-zero number, so 1.2. We want to make 3 sig figs, so we would add that 0 right here, and then times 10 to the, how many times do we have to move that decimal point? Times 10 to the 6th, okay? So then we have 5.6 divided by 300.0. All right, when we do this one in the calculator, we're going to end up with 0.0186666. And let's look at the numbers that went into that calculation. This one has 2 sig figs. This one, at first glance, some people think that it would have 1 sig fig, but it really has 4 sig figs. I really encourage you guys, when you're writing problems down from a packet or a test or a quiz or online or whatever, write this 0.0 down. Because if you were to just write 300 like this, you would think that it only would have 1 sig fig, and you're going to mess up your sig figs in your final answer. So take that extra 5 seconds, 2 seconds, whatever, and put that 0.0. See, hardly took any time at all. So we want to round our answer to 2 sig figs. Remember, this first 0 is not significant, so we're going to go to this position here, use the number behind it to tell us what to do, and this is going to round up to 0.019, and that's what we would record our answer as. All right, so let me know if you guys have any questions about this, and I'll see you in the next video.